All right, so today is July 28th, 2025, and I am going to give you my reaction to Donald Trump meeting with British Prime Minister Keir Starmer, and his response in terms of reporters asking him questions about Jeffrey Epstein. And what I'm looking for when I listen to Donald Trump talk is what is his reaction to things he hasn't already thought of in terms of how he should respond. Those tend to be the times when I believe he's at his most in terms of him being honest. All right. So let's listen to this and then we'll go through it together.
Mr. President, you have said that you have not been briefed on the Epstein files, or your name has not appeared in the Epstein files. But doesn't the AG have to tell you if your name is...
Well, I haven't been overly interested in it. You know, it's a hoax that's been built up way beyond proportion. I can say this, those files were run by the worst scum on earth. They were run by Comey, they were run by Garland, they were run by Biden and all of the people that actually ran the government, including the...
So what I'm hearing are canned answers. This is stuff he would probably say if he was in campaign mode. I'm not really hearing him answer the real questions, though.
And those files were run for 4 years by those people. If they had anything, I assume they would have released it. The whole thing is a hoax. They ran the files. I was running against somebody that ran the files. If they had something, they would have released. Now, they can easily put something in the files that's a phony. Like, as an example, Christopher Steele, a person you know well, happens to be from your country. But Christopher Steele, as an example.
So what he's doing is he's telling a story about possibly maybe a Democrat like Barack Obama or Joe Biden placing something in the Epstein files in order to make him look bad. But again, if you think about it, this doesn't make any sense because all of the statements that we've heard, like Pam Bondi saying that the files were on her desk, him sitting down and being interviewed saying he would release them, and then kind of backpedaling and saying, well, maybe not the files so much because, you know, he knows what people can do with them. All of this, to me, it's starting to sound like he doesn't know what to say and he doesn't know what his base will pick up on. So he's just hoping that they'll take bits and pieces of what he is saying and use this.
Wrote a book, a dossier. We call it the fake news dossier. And the whole thing was a fake. The whole thing was a fake. They could put things in the file that are fake. But those files were run by bad, sick people. If they had anything, why didn't they use it when I was killing Joe and then he gave out because he was 25 points down? And then I got somebody new. Nobody even knew anything about it. She was a horrible vice president. She was a border czar, but she never went to the border. She never once called a border patrol agent to find out how we're done. But she was the border czar. Her name was Kamala. Nobody knows her last name. It was Harris. But nobody knew her last name. So I ended up, how would you like to end up in a race where you're killing somebody, you're beating him, and then they say, all right, we'll take him out. He's not working. Let's put somebody else. And then she had a 6-week honeymoon. It was amazing. They predicted she would have a 6-week honeymoon, and she did. And then she got slaughtered. But think of it. Those files were run by these people. They were run by my enemy.
Okay. So him dancing with Jeffrey Epstein, that was his enemy doing that. Jeffrey Epstein's interviews where he talked about him and Trump being best friends, that was his enemy. His administration indicting Epstein and prosecuting him, and indicting Ghislaine Maxwell, you know, she was prosecuted under Biden, but still, all of this stuff that's happening, the letter that he wrote, all of these things that he personally did with Epstein, writing on the plane, the flight logs, the call logs, all of these things are somehow things his enemy did. Yeah, okay, who believes this, right?
If there was anything in there, they would have used them for the election. Yeah.
Do you think that drawing, I think I heard you say something the other day, that the drawing that was the subject of the Wall Street Journal report.
I don't do drawings.
Oh,
I'm not a drawing person.
I think it was fraudulent.
And we all saw the drawings he did do, right? You can go look up Donald Trump's drawings that he did for charity, right? These are things Donald Trump does. So obviously that's a lie from the pits of hell. Everybody draws.
Do drawings. Sometimes people say, would you draw a building and I'll draw 4 lines and a little roof, for a charity site. But I'm not a drawing person. I don't do drawings of women. That I can tell you.
And like the women that, have accused him of SA and the ones that actually like E. Jean Carroll, oh, those are not my type. Okay, great. That sounds good. But you do the drawings and you have done these things. So, sir, who's buying this? Well, I already know. It's his supporters. But just listen to him dig himself into a ditch. And this is where I like Donald Trump to be, honestly, because I know that there's no brakes on him and his imagination can go wherever he wants it to go. And this is when you'll get some of the gold.
They say there's a drawing of a woman, and I don't do drawings of women. And also, Epstein was always a very controversial guy. I was at a very high position, pretty much all my life. In all fairness, I've been doing this for a long time. I had the top show on television. I had the #1 bestsellers. I had everything, right? And I was a very successful business guy. He was a very controversial. Who would do a controversial drawing? Now, with that being said, they say there were many letters done by many people, and in many big people, big successful people. But I just don't. When you talk about files, I just keep going back, and other people too. Even the enemy says this thing is not correct. Because if we had it, we would have used it on the guy.
No.
It's a bad...
The one thing I want to say is this. A lot of Trump supporters like to say, if Biden and Kamala had the files, why didn't they release them? And my response is this. You got 91 charges that he was charged with, 4 different indictments, and not one of those did they accept as credible. Even the convictions, they don't accept it as credible. So adding this to that wouldn't have really changed their mind. As a matter of fact, I really think it would have actually done the opposite. It would have made them really think that Donald Trump was being targeted by the deep state, so to speak. So what makes the Epstein situation, as far as I'm concerned, that much more impactful is the fact that this is happening under his administration 6 months in. So he knows the answer.
They say it's a good issue for Trump. Do you know that my poll numbers are up 4.5 points since this ridiculous Epstein stuff?
Ridiculous.
My poll numbers have gone up 4.5 points because people don't buy it. Okay, people don't buy it. And he's gone, and we want to focus on trade deals. I want to focus on the deal we just made with the European Union, which is the biggest trade deal in history. It's the biggest deal, I think, in history, not just trade deal. So if they would have had something, they would have used it.
And people keep writing stories about the time you threw him out of Mar-a-Lago. Can you settle that? What was it about? What caused the breach with him?
Uh-oh.
That's such old history.
So they're asking him what caused him and Epstein to fall apart. What caused their relationship to go? They went separate ways. What caused this? And now I think this is good stuff.
Easy to explain, but I don't want to waste your time by explaining
What?
it. But for years, I wouldn't talk to Jeffrey Epstein. I wouldn't talk because he did something that was inappropriate. He hired help.
Oh.
And I said, don't ever do that again.
Oh.
He stole people that worked for me. I said, don't ever do that again. He did it again. And I threw him out of the place, persona non grata.
Okay.
I threw him out, and that was it. I'm glad I did, if you want to know the truth.
So what he just did was he debunked the narrative that MAGA has been saying, which was when Donald Trump found out about Donald Trump being a disgusting person. I mean, when Donald Trump found out Epstein was a disgusting person, that's when the relationship ended. Now this new angle, it suggests that now this is about some sort of employer-employee relationship. And the question you have to ask yourself is, well, what kind of employees would Epstein be stealing from Donald Trump? And when you put that into context and, you add in all these different layers and, Epstein definitely was, getting young girls or schoolgirls to work for him, it just, to me, implicates Trump even more. And yeah, this is going to be, to me, very hard and very difficult for his base to try to defend. Now, I've already argued with Trump supporters today. They're going to continue to defend this stuff, but it's really already at a point where it's indefensible, and they know it. But listen to how Trump just digs himself even deeper into this.
And by the way, I never went to the island, and Bill Clinton went there supposedly 28 times. I never went to the island, but Larry Summers, I hear, went there. He was the head of Harvard. And many other people that are very big people. Nobody ever talks about them. I never had the privilege of going to his island. And I did turn it down, but a lot of people in Palm Beach were invited to his island.
Oh, my gosh. So he knows about all these other people. He was invited but didn't go, and now he's calling it a privilege. He's literally leaving the breadcrumbs for his supporters to pick up and come to the conclusion that he is definitely not just on the list, but whatever is on the list about him, it's bad. That's basically what he is saying, and he knows it.
In one of my very good moments, I turned it down. I didn't want to go to his island. Yeah.
Mr. President, on Gaza, next time you speak to Netanyahu.
So, ladies and gentlemen, they're talking about Gaza now. My honest reaction about this is stay tuned, right? You know, Ghislaine Maxwell, she's appealing this to the Supreme Court. You know, we all know she's working to get a pardon. And the real clear thing that I gather from listening to this, and I'm looking at his inability to just firmly say, I am not for defending P3DOs. The fact that he can't do that, the fact you have Ghislaine Maxwell obviously demonstrating that she has leverage over the president, it just, to me, screams from the high heavens that this man has something to hide that he just can't bring himself to releasing. If he really has all the information about all these people who he perceives to be his enemy, right? Why is he not releasing it? You know, why is he protecting these people? It's the same question, right? Well, why didn't Biden release it? Okay, great. Well, why don't you release it? So, ladies and gentlemen, this is my honest reaction. I think Donald Trump is scared. I think his base knows that this is the one issue they created, and this is the one issue that he is the only one that can fix. And until he fixes it, you layer that in with his poll numbers. You know, he's not doing that well when it comes to foreign policy. He's not doing that well when it comes to, you know, immigration. He's not doing that well when it comes to the economy, and the list goes on. When you layer this into it, you know, this is actually probably the one thing he's not really doing that well on. When you layer all of this in, it's clear that Donald Trump is scared. MAGA and the Republicans are scared. So on that note, ladies and gentlemen, you know, I'm out of here. This has been my reaction to what I call, you know, watching Donald Trump self-destruct, you know, and if you like what I'm doing on this platform, this is YouTube, please like, subscribe, share this video. You know, I got to build up over here because you never know what's going to happen to me over there on TikTok. All right. Thank you, everyone, and have a great rest of your evening. I am out of here.